I work the night shift in an office building that's almost completely empty after midnight. It's not a scary job, mostly boring, honestly. I'm a security guard, and my job is just to walk the halls, check the doors, and make sure nobody's wandering around where they shouldn't be. The building has 12 floors. At least, that's what the directory says. Floor 1 is the lobby. Floors 2 through 10 are office spaces. Floor 11 is storage. Floor 12 is mechanical equipment. That's it. No floor 13. The elevator panel even skips from 12 straight to the roof access. At least, it's supposed to. My shift starts at 11 p.m. Every hour I do a walkthrough of a different floor. Around 2:15 a.m., I was heading back down from the 10th floor when I got into the elevator. I pressed L for lobby. The doors slid shut. The elevator hummed and started moving. At first, everything seemed normal. Then I noticed something strange. The elevator wasn't going down. It was going up. I looked at the panel. The lights were moving past the floors. 10, 11, 12. Then the elevator slowed and stopped. I stared at the panel. A number was lit up that shouldn't exist. 13. For a second, I assumed it was just some weird glitch. Maybe the elevator control system had a maintenance mode or something. But then the doors opened. The hallway outside was completely dark, not dim, pitch black, like the lights had never been installed. I leaned forward and looked out into the hallway. The weird part was, the layout looked exactly like the other floors. Same carpet, same walls, same ceiling tiles. But everything looked older. The carpet was stained and worn down. The walls were yellowed like they hadn't been painted in decades. And the air smelled strange, like dust and something burnt. I didn't step out. Something about it felt wrong. Instead, I pressed lobby again. The elevator doors closed immediately, and it started going down. When I got back to the lobby, I went straight to the security desk. There's a small monitor system that shows which floors the elevators stop on. I rewound the footage. According to the system, the elevator never went past 12. It went from 10 to 11 to 12 to lobby. No floor 13, no extra stop, nothing. I sat there staring at the screen for a while, trying to figure out what I just saw. Eventually, I convinced myself it was probably just some kind of sensor glitch. Maybe the elevator stopped between floors and the panel displayed the wrong number. Still weird, but explainable. So I went back to my normal patrol. About an hour later, around 3:30 a.m., I needed to check the mechanical room on floor 12. So I got back in the elevator, pressed 12, and waited. The elevator started moving. Up. Everything was normal again. 10, 11, 12. The doors opened, but the hallway looked wrong, again. The lights were off, the walls were yellow, the carpet was dirty, exactly like before. My stomach dropped. I slowly looked at the panel. The number glowing above the door, 13. But I had pressed 12. This time something else happened. I heard something in the hallway, a sound, like footsteps, slow, dragging, coming from somewhere down the dark corridor. I froze. The footsteps kept getting closer. Scrape, step, scrape, step. I leaned forward just enough to see down the hallway. At first, I didn't see anything. Then, I noticed movement. Something was walking toward the elevator, but it looked wrong. Its body was too tall, its arms hung way too low, and the way it moved, it was like its joints bent the wrong direction. The hallway lights flickered once, just for a split second, and I saw its face, or what should have been its face. It was completely blank. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin. The elevator doors suddenly started closing on their own. I didn't press anything. As the gap got smaller, the thing in the hallway started running. Not like a normal person. It moved in these long, jerking strides that covered huge distances. In 2 seconds, it crossed half the hallway. I slammed the lobby button over and over. The doors closed just before it reached the elevator. The last thing I saw was its arm stretching toward the door, way too long, like it was trying to grab the inside of the elevator. Then the doors shut, and the elevator dropped, fast. When I got back to the lobby, I was shaking. I checked the security monitor again. Same thing as before. According to the system, the elevator went from lobby to 10 to 11 to 12 to lobby. No floor 13. No extra stop, nothing unusual. But this time, something else was wrong. One of the cameras on floor 12 had triggered motion detection at 3:31 a.m., the exact time I was in the elevator. I clicked the recording. The camera showed the hallway outside the elevator, completely normal. Lights on, clean carpet, empty. But then something happened. The elevator doors in the video opened, and for about 2 seconds, the hallway on the other side of the doors was pitch black, like a completely different floor. Then the doors closed again. I finished my shift early that night, told my supervisor the elevator system needed maintenance. He said he'd call it in. I didn't tell him the full story, because honestly, I didn't think anyone would believe me. The next night I came back from my shift, and the first thing I noticed was a sign taped to the elevator. It said, "Out of service, maintenance." 2 technicians were working on the control panel. I asked one of them what the issue was. He looked at me strangely and said, "Elevator kept trying to stop on a floor that isn't there." I felt my stomach tighten. I asked him what floor. He hesitated, then said, 13. I didn't sleep much that day, but what really bothered me was something I noticed when I left the building. Near the entrance, there's an old plaque listing the original construction date. I had walked past it 1,000 times, but this time I actually read the smaller text under it. It said the building was completed in 1974 and originally had 13 floors. That night, I went down a rabbit hole online, looking through old records and newspaper archives. Eventually, I found something. An article from 1978. It talked about a fire in the building. It started on the 13th floor. The article said several offices were destroyed, but the weird part was that there were no records of any companies renting that floor. No tenants, no employees, nothing. Just empty offices. The fire department couldn't even determine how the fire started. After the incident, the entire floor was sealed during renovations, and the building directory was changed to list only 12 floors. I quit that job 2 weeks later, but before I left, I asked one of the older maintenance workers something. I asked him if the elevator had ever stopped on a floor that wasn't there. He looked at me for a long time, then he quietly said, "You saw it too, didn't you?" I didn't answer. He just sighed and said, "Rule is, if the elevator ever opens to a dark hallway," he paused, then finished the sentence, "don't step out." I asked him why, and he said something I still think about all the time. He said, "Because sometimes the elevator doesn't bring you to the 13th floor. It brings something from the 13th floor to you." What or who do you think comes down the elevator? Leave your answer in the comments.